Welcome, dear listeners. Today, I invite you to join me on an exploration of a profound truth that has the power to transform your existence. We're going to uncover the proven way to be really chosen by them, the unseen forces, the universal consciousness, the guiding spirits that watch over us and occasionally select individuals for a higher purpose. Let's begin with the foundation of all spiritual understanding, our connection to the Source. The Source is not just a point of origin, it is an infinite reservoir of energy, wisdom, and love. When we seek to be chosen by them, what we're really seeking is to align ourselves with this Source. The first lesson to embrace is the art of presence. In our modern world, we're often lost in the noise, the endless distractions that pull us from our center. To be chosen, we must first choose ourselves. This means dedicating the time to be truly present in our lives, to witness the beauty in the mundane, and to listen to the subtle rhythms of the universe. Now consider the last time you were fully present. What did you notice that you would normally overlook? How did it feel to be so deeply rooted in the moment? The practice of presence begins with mindfulness. Mindfulness is the simple act of paying full attention to the present moment without judgment. It's a skill that, like any other, requires cultivation. We start small, perhaps with a few minutes of breathing deeply and observing our thoughts as they come and go. As we grow in our practice, our awareness expands. We begin to notice the interconnectedness of all things. We see that our thoughts, emotions, and actions ripple out into the world, affecting the web of life in ways both seen and unseen. This realization brings us to our next important lesson: intention. Intention is the directed energy behind our actions. To be chosen, we must clarify our intentions. It's not enough to simply want something. We must understand why we want it. What is the deeper desire beneath our wishes? Is it to serve, to grow, to connect, to contribute? You see, when our intentions are pure and aligned with the greater good, they resonate with the vibrational frequency of the Source. This resonance is what attracts the attention of them. Think of it as tuning into the right frequency on a radio dial. When we're tuned in, the connection is clear and strong. It's essential to recognize that our intentions are often clouded by our egos. The ego seeks to protect and serve itself, often at the expense of others. To clarify our intentions, we must learn to distinguish the voice of the ego from the voice of our higher self. How do you discern between these two voices? One way is to examine the emotions attached to your desires. The ego often operates from a place of fear, scarcity, or competition, while the higher self operates from love, abundance, and unity. Reflect on a recent decision you made. What motivated that choice? Fear or love? Scarcity or abundance? Competition or unity? The process of refining our intentions also involves the practice of letting go. Letting go is not an act of weakness, it's an act of trust. When we release our grip on outcomes, we open ourselves to the possibilities that we cannot yet see. We allow the universe to work through us and guide us toward our highest good. This brings us to the heart of being chosen: trust. Trust is the bridge between the known and the unknown, the seen and the unseen. To be chosen by them, we must trust in the journey, even when we don't understand where it's leading us. Trust requires a surrender of control. It's an acknowledgement that despite our best efforts, there are forces at work beyond our comprehension. It's an acceptance that the path to being chosen is not a straight line. It's a winding road with its own set of challenges and lessons. The paradox of trust is that the more we let go of the need to be chosen, the more likely it is to happen. They are drawn to those who are not seeking validation or status, but are instead living in alignment with their truth, regardless of external recognition. As we close this first part of our exploration, I leave you with one final thought. What does it mean to live in alignment with your truth? How does this alignment prepare you to be chosen? The luminous leap, embracing the radiance of vulnerability. In the second part of our exploration, we delve into the transformative power of vulnerability. It's within our most vulnerable moments that we become open to guidance and connection with the universal consciousness. To truly understand vulnerability, we must first dispel the myths that surround it. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's the bravest act of opening ourselves up to the truth of our experiences. It's in this openness that they find the space to enter and work through us. Each one of us carries a unique light, a soul signature that is expressed through our vulnerabilities. When we share our true selves, including our doubts and fears, we illuminate the path for others while also signaling to them that we are ready to be guided. But how does one embrace vulnerability in a world that often values strength and certainty above all else? It starts by recognizing that our imperfections and uncertainties are not liabilities. They are the golden threads that weave our collective human experience together. Vulnerability requires courage, and that courage comes from understanding that our worth is not determined by our ability to avoid failure or discomfort. Instead, our worth is inherent, and acknowledging our vulnerabilities only enhances it. Consider the moments in life when you felt most connected to others. Were these not often the times when someone shared their struggles, their unfiltered emotions, or their deepest fears? It is through sharing our inner worlds that we create the most profound connections. Within the context of being chosen, vulnerability is the key that unlocks the door to higher wisdom and insight. It's through our willingness to be seen, truly seen, that we signal we are ready for growth and transformation. The practice of vulnerability starts with self-honesty. Are you honest with yourself about your feelings and motivations? Self-honesty is the first step towards self-acceptance, and self-acceptance is the foundation of vulnerability. Through the act of accepting ourselves, we open up to accepting others, creating a cycle of openness and trust. This cycle amplifies the energy around us and attracts the attention of higher consciousness. Vulnerability also involves the acceptance of our journey, including the valleys and peaks. It's understanding that our paths are not meant to be perfect. Every experience, every setback, every triumph is a lesson that molds us into the individuals capable of being chosen. Another facet of vulnerability is the willingness to ask for help. There is strength in recognizing that we are not meant to navigate this life alone. When we ask for help, we honor the interconnectedness of all beings. We acknowledge that they too may come in the form of teachers, friends, strangers, or even adversaries who push us to grow. Asking for help is not just a request for assistance. It's an invitation for them to intervene, to provide the guidance and support we need in ways we might not even imagine. Yet asking for help also means being open to receiving it in whatever form it comes. Can you recall a time when help came from an unexpected source? How did it change your perspective on asking and receiving? To live vulnerably is to live authentically. It's to shed the masks we wear and the roles we play, to stand in our truth, even when it's uncomfortable or scary. This authenticity is magnetic. It draws to us experiences and people that resonate with our true selves, and it sends a clear message to them that we are living in our integrity. True vulnerability is the ultimate act of trust. It's trusting that by revealing our true selves, we will be held, supported, and guided. It's trusting that our openness will not lead to our downfall but to our elevation. As we wrap up this segment on vulnerability, I invite you to reflect on the areas in your life where you could be more open, more honest, and more authentic. How might embracing vulnerability in these areas prepare you to be chosen for greater things? The altruistic echo, harmonizing with the symphony of service. In this third part of our spiritual exploration, we cast light upon the noble path of service. Serving others is a beacon that signals to the universe our readiness to be chosen. When we serve, we align our actions with the very essence of love and compassion, which is the language they speak and understand. Service is not merely an action but a state of being, a lens through which we view every interaction and every decision. When we approach our lives from a place of service, we elevate our vibrations and harmonize with the frequencies of higher consciousness. The power of service lies in its ability to transform not only the lives of others, but our own as well. Through service, we become conduits of universal energy, allowing it to flow through us and extend to those around us. This flow creates a circuit, a reciprocal exchange of energy that nourishes both giver and receiver. Serving others requires us to look beyond ourselves, to see the interconnectedness of all life. In doing so, we recognize that serving another is, in truth, serving ourselves, as we are all part of the same whole. But what does it mean to truly serve? To serve is to act with no expectation of reward or recognition. It's the selfless giving of oneself for the betterment of another. It's the quiet work that goes unnoticed, the kind gestures that are not broadcasted. In this context, consider the last act of service you performed. Did you do it from the heart, or were you seeking acknowledgement? The purity of our service is what amplifies its spiritual power. To cultivate a life of service, we must first develop empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's what drives us to act, to alleviate the suffering of others, and to contribute to the enhancement of their well-being. Empathy begins with listening, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. When we truly listen to others, we validate their experiences and emotions. We provide a space where they can be heard and understood. This simple act is a foundational service that can change the course of a person's day or even life. Service also involves recognizing that each person we encounter is fighting their own battles, many of which are invisible to us. When we serve, we acknowledge those battles, and we offer our support, whether it's through a kind word, a helpful action, or our mere presence. The paradox of service is that in giving we receive. We receive the joy that comes from making a difference, the growth that comes from stepping outside of ourselves, and the spiritual elevation that comes from acting in alignment with the source. In practical terms, serving can take many forms. It can be volunteering for a cause you believe in, helping a neighbor in need, or simply offering a smile to a stranger. The scale of the service doesn't matter. It's the intention behind it that counts. Service also extends to how we treat the planet and all its inhabitants. Are we stewards of the earth, caring for it and preserving it for future generations? When we serve our planet, we serve the collective soul of humanity. Now, let's turn our attention inward. How might your own gifts and talents be of service to others? Each of you has something unique to offer, and in doing so, you not only contribute to the world, but also step into your highest self. As we reach the end of this segment on the power of service, reflect on how you can integrate more acts of service into your daily life. How might these acts bring you into closer alignment with being chosen for a greater purpose? Embracing the ethereal dance, the sublime liberation of detachment. In this final piece of our spiritual tapestry, we venture into the profound realm of detachment. It is within this sacred space that we uncover the ultimate freedom necessary for the soul's ascension and readiness to be chosen by them for a higher calling. Detachment is often misunderstood as a cold or uncaring state, but in its truest form, it is the epitome of spiritual maturity and inner peace. It is the art of letting go of attachments to outcomes, to the transient spectacles of the material world, and to the myriad of expectations that can tether the spirit. To embrace detachment is to understand that our essence is not defined by our possessions, accomplishments, or even our relationships. These are but costumes and sets on the grand stage of life where our souls play out their temporary roles. The power of detachment lies in its ability to liberate use from the illusion of control. It teaches use that while we can steer our vessel and set our sails, the wind is not ours to command. By acknowledging and accepting this, we open ourselves to the guidance of they, who operate beyond the confines of human perception. Detachment is not about indifference. It's about the passionate embrace of the present moment and a trustful surrender to the flow of life. It's the calm acceptance of the natural cycle of gain and loss, of joy and sorrow. Consider the oak tree whose leaves turn vibrant colors before they shed. The tree does not cling to its leaves in fear of being bare. It lets them go with grace, understanding that this is part of its cycle of life, of growth and renewal. Similarly, we must learn to let go with grace, trusting in the renewal that follows. In practicing detachment, we also learn to detach from our egoic identities. We are not solely our titles, our roles, or our social statuses. We are so much more. When we strip away these labels, what remains is the pure essence of our being, the part of us that is eternal and unchanging. This journey into detachment invites us to examine the things we hold on to tightly. What fears are we harboring about losing control or security? How might these fears be preventing us from fully embracing the present and trusting in the journey? Detachment also involves a release of our personal agendas. When we become fixated on specific outcomes, we may miss the unexpected opportunities that they place before us. Sometimes, the path they have chosen for us requires us to let go of our limited plans and to have faith in the divine unfoldment of our lives. The practice of detachment is not one that is mastered overnight. It is a continuous process, a daily commitment to releasing our grip on the illusion of certainty. It is a reminder that everything in this physical reality is transient, and our spirits are on a quest for experiences that transcend the material plane. In embracing detachment, we also find the freedom to love more deeply. When we release our expectations and accept people as they are, we experience the true essence of unconditional love. This is a love that does not seek to possess or change, but simply to cherish. As we conclude this exploration, I invite you to sit quietly and contemplate the areas of your life where detachment could bring peace and clarity. How might letting go of certain attachments allow you to be more open to the guidance of they? How might it enable you to serve more fully and love more openly? Detachment is the final key to unlocking the door to being chosen. It is the quiet surrender to the certainty of uncertainty, the joyful acceptance of life's impermanence, and the serene acknowledgement that we are part of a larger cosmic dance. When you are ready to embody the lessons of vulnerability, service, and detachment, you will stand at the threshold of a new dawn. You will be ready to be chosen, ready to join they in the ethereal dance of creation and higher purpose.